So I really just want to share with you how I quarantine fish on the cheap and easy and the medications I like to use. Don't go anywhere. So I have here in this 5-gallon bucket a whole bunch of guppies, male and female, that I collected from a 2,000-gallon koi pond. I'll throw a card up above for that. These guys definitely looked like they had a little bit of sunken stomachs, a little bit of, some intestinal parasites and stuff like that. I was studying these fish pretty hard when I was collecting them, and I did notice even ick on some of the fish. Not really scared of ick, brought them home anyways. Now the first thing that I always like to use when medicating fish is going to be salt. Salt is such a key player. It is so safe and it's so very effective on treating a lot of basic things with fish. So what I do with the salt is I treat for 48 hours, no matter what. I'm gonna do a first run of salt water for 24 hours, do a water change, and you'll definitely see that the water will be a little bit cloudy because the fish are going to be releasing some stuff because the laxative properties of the salt, it's going to help release some of those parasites and things like that just with the salt. So I do 24 hours, and then I do a second run with water change, and then another run of salt. So 48 hours, 2 doses, 2 courses of salt. I'd like to use marine salt. Some people like to use aquarium salt. I do use that when I have to use that. Some people will go with some Epsom salt, and I've seen other people just use, kosher salt, kitchen kosher salt and stuff like that. So that 48-hour dose of salt is going to take care of a lot of things. It's really going to help a lot with the ick, believe it or not. It's definitely going to help slough off a lot of that ick that is on the fish. And I have noticed a lot, especially with wild caught fish, that you will lose a couple of fish during that 48 hours with that salinity. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Some of it is going to be some bloating due to intestinal parasites, just the fluctuation and water changes, putting them into a bunch of fresh water to treat them. Now, a really important thing that I like to remind people is I do a water change every 24 hours for like the first 2 weeks in this quarantine process. I do water changes and remedicate almost 24 hours to 48 hours. At least the first week is every 24 hours, a water change and remedicating. And then I can kind of like stretch it out to maybe 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours. But you can see here, this has been 24 hours, and you can already see that it's a little cloudy. The stuff at the bottom is hard to see because of a slight cloudiness in the water. I think it's really important to also remember that this is not a cycled aquarium. And it's not meant to be a cycled aquarium. You're not going to be able to create that with doing like 100% water changes every day, every other day. And that's another reason why you have to do that. The ammonia levels can totally spike, especially when you're adding a bunch of medications. These fish are going to release a lot of nastiness every 24 hours, and you don't want them to be going down to the bottom and even trying to eat that. It's going to negatively affect what you're trying to do here. And I'm going to go ahead and clean this whole bucket in the shower and get it sterilized pretty much, rinsed out with chlorinated tap water. That works well enough for me. And then I will add them back into here with some RODI water that I remineralize a little bit. That was good. I think I got 6 or 7 or 8 there. So I've cleaned this 5-gallon bucket out really well. I've even cleaned the hose, the airline hose off of here. I've cleaned that as well. And I dunked the air stone in hydrogen peroxide just for a little bit while I was cleaning this out to, just make sure I kill some stuff on that air stone, so I'm not just continuously bringing stuff back into the water column on that hose. A lot of people don't think about doing that. So I have the guppies here that I was keeping in this deli cup. I'll just add them. Just slowly add them. Now I do have a whole series on medications, the medications that I use, the ones I'm going over today. So I'm going to go over these medications a little roughly. If you want to see a more detailed video about each of these specific products, check those videos out. They're in this full series that this video is a part of. The first product that I'm going to show you guys today, besides using salt for the first 48 hours, is General Cure. Now, General Cure is metronidazole and praziquantel. Now, these medications are going to work very well for parasites on the outside of the fish, as well as some parasites internally. Now, like I mentioned before, the whole point of using this 5-gallon bucket is to save yourself money on these expensive medications. This one right here, the erythromycin, which I'm going to talk about as well, $134 for this bottle. So save your medication, do it smart. So what I'm going to do is, this little teaspoon right here is for 20 gallons of water. This is a 5-gallon bucket, and when I first start out, I'm only filling this bucket halfway, so that's 2.5 gallons. So you're really literally using 1/8 of a teaspoon here to treat these medications. Really saves you a lot of medication. I know when I was younger and I was just in this hobby, 40, 50-gallon aquariums, I spent so much money on medication, having to medicate the whole tank. Now, when you have to medicate the whole tank, you have to do that. I understand that, but when you bring in new fish into your house, you should definitely just put them into a quarantine tank so you don't have to medicate that 50-gallon aquarium. So we're going to go ahead and add the General Cure, which is metronidazole and praziquantel. I'm going to go ahead and just sprinkle this in. I just go ahead and sprinkle it right into the water. In some cases, I won't pre-mix it, but this is the fast, cheap, and easy method here that I'm showing you guys. So I'm just drop the General Cure right into there. Now, the second medication that I like to use after the first 48 hours is erythromycin. erythromycin. Now, erythromycin is a little bit more of an antibacterial. It's going to handle a lot of other things, different kinds of skin funguses and bacteria on the slime coat of the fish, as well as stuff internally. Just like the other medication, this is 1 teaspoon for every 20 gallons. So I'm just going to go here, and I'm doing a little bit more than 1/8 because this is probably about 4 gallons of water. So I'm just kind of eyeing it. If anything, I'll just go a little bit, tiny bit stronger, right? You're not, a little bit stronger is not going to harm the fish. So we go with that. That's the erythromycin. And one of the things that I have been using is the ICX. This is going to work really well, obviously, for removing the ick and other parasites and things that might be on the outside of the fish. Now, this is actually 1 teaspoon for every 10 gallons, which is a little strong. I'm really just going to give this a little splash since this is only 4 gallons in here right now. See if we can get a little splash of this out here without... That works. That was about three big drops, but that's still definitely not close to half a teaspoon. Now, this is going to sit here. I'm going to leave this for 48 hours, and what's going to happen is these fish are going to release some of these, some waste that's going to have these parasites, dead and alive, cyst eggs to these parasites as well, and they're going to sit at the bottom. And if you do not remove that, you do not do those water changes every 24 to 48 hours, those fish are going to consume that stuff, and it's just going to prolong the process. Now, keep in mind, in this whole process, I've actually only lost 3 fish out of that bucket. Within the first 12 hours, I lost 1 large pregnant female. There was probably complications with pregnancy and also probably intestinal parasites. I lost her in the first 12 hours, and then there was a male fish and then another younger female that I lost. And that's the only fish that I've lost so far in there, but I think it's just part of the process. Some of the fish are just far too gone with some of these parasites, and it's just going to push them over the edge to try to medicate them in the first place. All of the guppies here in this 5-gallon bucket are looking good right now. They seem to be doing well. The next step for these guppies is to come out of here. After 2 weeks in a bucket, I just really don't want to waste the tank space until I know that they are good. So 2 weeks after the bucket, so about another 3 or 4 days, they're going to make their way into the quarantine tank that I set up for them. You guys saw a video I did earlier this last week on box filters. I created this box filter here for this 10-gallon quarantine tank setup. This is a really simple, basic setup. This works well. I love the box filter method, especially for quarantining, because you know what, guys? You can completely tear this thing down. You could throw, you know, in worst case scenario, you throw all the media away from inside of this box filter, and actually just reload it after you sterilized all of the parts and pieces, and you can reuse it for a whole new quarantine tank setup. Now, just like the 5-gallon bucket, this 10-gallon aquarium is a good option. I mean, you can find 5-gallon aquariums, 2.5-gallon aquariums as well, but as an upgrade, after 2 weeks of medicating, 10 gallons is the way to go, especially for, you know, 12 guppies. So I'm only going to be using a half a teaspoon of medication when and if I'm treating, you know, with the erythromycin and the general cure and stuff like that. So there's actually 2 other medications that I like to get into after 3 weeks of quarantining. The first one is going to be levamisole, levamisole hydrochloride. This medication works really well for treating internal parasites. So I'll do the levamisole, and then I also do fenbendazole. It's also used as a dog dewormer. You can buy it as a dog dewormer and use it. There's plenty of videos out there. I have a video I've made in this series. You can check that out. Well, I wish I had seen a video like this when I was 13 years old and medicating a 100-gallon aquarium. And it spent a lot of money on that aquarium. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to all of my subscribers out there. Thank you to all of you that like, comment, and share on all of this content. I appreciate all of my new members that I have at this point. Just all of you that support all of the things that I do. You are the motivation and the inspiration to keep me trucking along here on this platform. And remember, guys, keep your tanks clean, your fish fed, and have fun.